Well, hey, glad that you're with us today for our group study as we continue the discussion once again. And I'm here with Paul McDill, and we're excited about the opportunity to share with you and kind of kick this whole thing off with you for week 2 of This Is It. I'm really kind of focusing on what the church is supposed to be about, taking the story of what I guess we've known. If we've been around church for a long time, you know of it as the story of the Good Samaritan. But we kind of took that and kind of equated then the inn with the church and the commission that we have by God. Of course, the Samaritan, the one that was rejected, the half-breed, if you will, who came and provided for this individual with Christ, and then Christ leaving us with the responsibility as the end to care for people. Why do you feel like that the church has always gone one way or another? You've got kind of the social gospel over here on one hand, and then you've got others that are like, well, all we do is tell people about Jesus, and we don't do anything to minister to their needs. And why has it been so difficult, and how do you find a balance?
God, David, you just threw that right out there.
It's a tough question, but
I guess there's a big swing of the pendulum. It seems like there'll be a period of time when the church will just really hop on social issues, and then it'll maybe swing too far that way, and then all of a sudden it swings back and it'll swing too far that other way. And so as far as why that happens, I guess I'm not really sure. I wish I would have had a little.
You could have been, if you were a sociological expert, you probably could have figured it out.
And if you would have given me a minute to think about it, I would have probably.
It would have been an awesome answer.
Yes, right.
There's no question it would have been awesome. Well, and this is maybe a discussion that you guys can have, based upon your past experience. Have you been in environments that were really more like action and social action, or more about kind of the message itself, kind of the revivalism idea, the tent revival, just get your heart straight. Personal evangelism. Yeah, right. Those kinds of things. And so the church has kind of had to make that, decision and really kind of, decide where their focus is. But would you?
But your point is the church shouldn't make that decision.
Yes, right. Yes, exactly.
The idea of we're going to be all one or all the other is a bad idea.
Right.
That's not the way that's not what the church was intended to do.
Yeah, and there was a song, I forgot what it was called, in the 70s, and I think it was called People to People. It was hymn 308 if you're old school, and the idea behind
that really the hymn
that
number?
really is the hymn number, believe it or not. It was one of my favorites, and it says, how do you tell a hungry man about the bread of life? And how do you tell a thirsty man about the living water of the Lord? And that was kind of the idea. And it says people to people. So the idea is that you meet a person's need with kind of the long-term objective of that need, or that meeting of that need enables you or opens the door for you to be able to share. Have you seen that in your life sometimes, or developing those relationships and how?
Well, I think, in fact, I was talking to some other staff members about this yesterday, that we understand that when it comes to like a mission strategy, like in foreign countries.
Yeah, when we go
to other places, we do this. When we send missionaries to other places, one of the first things that they do is they figure out how to build a bridge with the community around them. And so they go in and they dig water wells.
Yeah, so in Africa we're digging water wells and doing private schools and all that kind of stuff, meeting those needs.
Right. In Guatemala this summer, we're going in and we're installing home kits for these people to have an oven and light, electricity, that's solar run, and water, because we're meeting that need. We're trying to build a bridge.
But nobody goes to heaven because they have a new kitchen.
Right. But the idea that you're getting to is that they go. We understand that in other countries that, hey, we're trying to establish, we're here for you. We're on your side. We want to help you to build a bridge, to be able to share our faith, and ultimately that's what we're trying to get to.
Right, and certainly so. And of course, that you have this idea, and I don't know if you remember the message, but of course, the first thing is proximity to pain. And one of the things that we kind of are commissioning each of you to do is to see where people are hurting, where they're hungry or where they're thirsty or where their needs are, like in the Guatemala situation, and really kind of try to figure out how to meet that. And that would be a good example or a good discussion point for you in your group, is to kind of talk about where are some places in our society that you see pain. It's different each place, you know,
Well,
so Africa and Guatemala are different than here.
Yeah, and honestly, when you go into our communities, typically most people have clean water.
Right.
Most people have stoves that, you know, are vented outside of their home. They're not living in smoky conditions. Most people have electricity, but people are really struggling with how to raise their kids. People are really struggling with how to get out of debt. You know, they're really struggling. The pressures of life are creating some other needs, and so a lot of times, you know, that's where we kind of step in as the church, that we want to try to help meet some of those needs and help give them some tools so that we can earn the right to share our faith with them.
You know, one of the things we recognized early on was a lot of people in some of the communities where we were serving weren't necessarily able to afford those expensive sports camps for their kids that happen during the summer. You know, the Mavs put on a camp or whatever, but it may be $700. And so we started putting on these sports camps. I don't know if you remember early on, because we had so many coaches and teachers and things like that, where we would bring the kids in and we would give them some top quality lessons, and then you know,
top quality. I mean,
they were
I know
good,
some of those people that taught.
No, they were awesome.
Should I call them by name?
No, don't call Tony Bowles by name. I'm teasing. I remember, the reason I remember Tony is I remember him kicking a soccer ball and telling me that he could knock a water bottle off of the fence, and he actually did it.
Wow, that's
I was pretty impressed. I was pretty impressed. But you know, and then we used that as an opportunity and a bridge to really kind of reach those families. Several of those families came to our church. We saw some baptisms out of that, and so that's an example of, you know. So once again, there's a little bit of financial pain that opened up an opportunity for us to be able to share.
Yeah.
And so I think that would be good to really talk about some of those things, and maybe even come up with some things that maybe even your group, if you see pain and you've got an ability to figure out how to meet that need, then go for it, recognizing that the end game is to be able to one day or another share with somebody.
Right, and that's one of the things that we're hoping comes out of this series, really, is that people would in their, especially in community groups, in people, you know, when you're grouped up talking about this, that you would say, hey, what are some needs that we can meet? What are some ways that we can minister to the world around us with the hope to be able to share our faith in Jesus Christ with them?
Yeah, and you know, that Jesus also, as, you know, kind of, we're kind of allegorizing the story of the Good Samaritan, and that just means kind of we're taking Jesus and equating him with the Good Samaritan. That he gives that responsibility to us. And one of the things he does, and we talked about, the second thing we kind of talked about was permission to care. And really that idea of kind of caring for the people in our community.
Right.
And so I think it, you know, what would you say, has been the most difficult place in your ministry or people to care for? You know, people that really needed some extra grace for you.
The EGR people.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
extra grace required.
Yeah.
That you know, I mean, I think for most of us, it's really easy to care about people that are just like us.
Yeah.
I mean, if you find somebody that is the same, you know, racial makeup, is the same economic makeup, has the same political leanings, man, it is really easy to like those people, isn't it? Like, man, that is an awesome guy right there. You know, it's like you're looking in the mirror and you're going, oh, I like that guy.
Or even in the future of, I want to be like that person, or really kind of what can you get out of that relationship. And I think that's really, really important.
Right.
Is that when you go into this, is that you're trying to give something away in the gospel. You're not trying to get anything from anyone. And really, one of the complaints that you see oftentimes about church, and you know, kind of one of the things when you read surveys and people speaking about churches and ministries, is that they want something from me, not that they want something for me.
Yeah, but when you come across people that they're not just like you. They come from different, you know, they come from a different background. They have different views on things. That's just really the test of, I think that's really the test of the gospel working in you.
Right.
That God has to do that. I mean, it's really hard to it's really hard to love people that have totally different opinions,
Right.
that feel differently.
Yeah, and that would be a really good question, because I suspect that it's going to be a little bit different as to who is the other for you.
Yeah, right.
I mean, who is the the person on the side of the road that it's hard for you to really love, even though you've been commissioned by the Savior to care for them.
And even a step beyond that might be who are the group. Wait, who are the group?
Who are the groups?
Yeah,
who is the group?
Who is the group of people
Yeah.
that's hard for you to love?
Right.
Because I suspect that most of us have some groups of people that we would identify as, man, I get along well with other people, and I care about these people, but that group of people.
Yeah, right.
And that's a challenge for me.
Yeah, right, certainly so. And I could come up with all kinds of examples of that. And during the course of my life, it's actually changed at various times.
No doubt.
And then the final thing we talked about was power to spend. And really and truly, when God places something on your heart, and you recognize, here's the pain, I want you to care about it. And now we recognize that God has given us resources, so we can't just sit back and go, well, I hope that one day somebody will meet that particular need. Is that we are commissioned to meet that need.
Yeah, we're to be a conduit with the resources God gives us.
Yeah.
We're not. God doesn't give us things for our own benefit, even though He allows us to be blessed sometimes. But He also gives those resources to us to flow through us to people that are in need. So.
It would be great for you to share your giving stories. Maybe some things, and what I'm not talking about like how much necessarily, but really a time in which you were just absolutely blessed by the opportunity to give something to somebody else.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
it could be something as simple as a Christmas gift to something as a car that you gave away, or maybe even bigger than that you basically brought someone into your home and gave away your convenience. It would be great for you to tell some of those stories, and we always like to share those around here and around the church.
And maybe even people could begin investing in future stories, like they could give a pastor their kids a college education or something.
That would be
they would have a great story to tell in the future.
Yes, you can tell that story, so you'll be ready for next time. Right. Okay, we're so glad that you joined us today, and we hope that your group has a fantastic discussion. We're grateful for the opportunity to be with you each week. God bless you, and have a great discussion.